What's going on there, everybody? This your boy JTP. Today we're going to talk about how to get that FICO score, that Fair Isaac Corporation score built up. Pardon me, I had to spit right quick. But yeah, we're going to show you how to get that FICO score, that Fair Isaac Corporation score built up. We're going to go over two different methods, okay? Now, why is your credit score important? Here you go, man. Your credit score is important for I'm going to give you two reasons why your credit score is important. Your credit score is important, firstly, because most of the jobs that we work, we're only making $40,000 to $50,000 a year. By us making that annual figure every year, it'll probably take you probably 5 to 6 years to save up $50,000. When you can get that same money within 10 to 15 minutes if your credit score is up. Another reason your credit score is important is because a lot of us, damn, I forgot what I Another reason your credit score is important for the simple fact, if you have a decent credit score, you can basically get a house of your dream versus not having the credit score that's not so good and getting a house you have to settle for. That's another reason your credit score is important. So if you get a good credit score, you can basically get, whatever your little heart desires. So what we're going to do is go over two different ways to get your credit score built up. Now the first way you can get your credit score built up is using the secured credit or the secured loan. Now, what is the secure loan? The secure loan is actually when you find a credit union or a bank and you go in there and you want to start a secure loan. So you ask them, well, what's the steps of taking or starting a secure loan? You get the steps, you qualify. Now you want to start the secure loan. You have to have some type of proof of income, check stubs, W-2s, 1099, however you're making your money these days. You're going to have to take that with you. And you're also going to have to take $500 with you. But this is a no money out of pocket transaction that you're going to need $500 for. But let me get to that later. Okay, so you have your proof of income and everything checks out. Everything checks out when they, do the verification and they approve you to have the secure loan. So what you're going to do is the $500 that you brought in there, you're going to give it to them. Once you give them the $500, they're going to turn around and give you $500 of their money. Okay, so this is what I mean. This is a no money out of pocket ordeal because you walk in with $500 just to give it up, just to get $500 back. Okay, now that's how you get your credit score built up. Well, actually, let me finish the steps with that. So it's like a 6-month process, basically. So you're going to set up payment arrangements for 6 months to get this $500 paid off with the interest. So it's probably going to be 6 and some change. So you're probably going to have like a monthly payment of like $89, $89, let's just say $90 to $95 monthly payment every month. Okay. All right. So once you pay that money back, then you get your $500 that you gave them back. So this is the no money out of pocket thing I was saying, that you get $500 and you get your $500 back. So it's basically, a secure loan. This is exactly what it is. So whose security is it benefiting? It really is benefiting the person that's giving out the loan. So the bank is getting their money secured from you by getting $500 from you out of your pocket just to give you $500, just to get $500 once you give them back their $500. It sounds tricky, but it's not. Okay, now the second thing to get your credit score kind of intact is getting you either a secure credit card or a credit card. Either one of these two will get your credit score built up. Not as fast as a secure loan. This is why I recommended that a little bit. Recommended that first prior to saying what I'm saying now as far as with the secure credit card and the credit card. This is why I went over that first. So when you're dealing with the credit cards, you basically are going to get credit scores increased monthly at a scale from 20 to 25 points dealing with the credit cards. Now, a couple of things with the credit cards is you want to make sure that you're paying the credit cards back on time. Each month that you are late, you go down in credit score. Each month that you're on time, you go up in credit scores. So, and also when you're dealing with the credit cards, once you pay 5 months on time, they also increase, what they do is they increase your credit limit. So every 5 months your limit gets increased. Before you know it, you'll be up to $50,000. So this is why I'm saying there's a lot easier ways to get $50,000 versus trying to save up that $50,000. Okay. Now another thing with the credit card is the threshold that you have on a credit card. So when they give you the credit card, if you get credit allotted a credit limit, if you get allotted a credit limit, okay, they're looking and monitoring every move you make. So when you go over that 15 to 30% threshold, you know, they looking at you as an individual or as a consumer as you're not too smart or savvy with dealing with credit, because it's an unwritten rule that you don't want to go over 15 to 30% when dealing with the credit cards. Only time you really want to do that is when it's a dire emergency, not a want, more so a need, a dire need, okay? And then you want to make sure that you put that money back in a timely fashion, probably before, you know, the actual payment is due for the credit card. If you can't do it within the 1 or 2 business days after, I guess, exhausting all of the funds out of the account. Okay, now I'm going to go over a couple of things that will hinder you or hurt you when dealing with the credit, okay? Rule number one with dealing with credit: the one thing that'll hurt you, it's not the most important, but one thing that will put you in a deficit would be not paying your bills on time. We kind of went over that a little earlier. So every time you don't pay your bills on time, you actually hurt yourself by lowering your credit score. Okay. Number two, another thing that'll hurt you with dealing with the credit is going over that 15 to 30% threshold, what I was explaining a little earlier also. That would hurt you also. So you want to stay under that 30 to 40%. So let me give you an example of that. If you get a $300 credit limit, you don't want to spend $300 and 15%, so that's 15, 15, 15, $45 out of the 300. You do not want to spend over, if you're using the 15%, you don't want to spend $45 out of that 300 on a monthly basis. Okay? Now if you're doing the 30% threshold, so that's 30, 30, 30, which is 90, you don't want to go over $90 a month. Okay? We're dealing with the secure credit cards or the credit cards. So that makes you look a little bit more, I guess, easier to deal with on the business aspect, especially, you know, when dealing with a corporation like a big bank or something like that. And the number one thing, the third thing, which is the number one thing, is actually allowing somebody to use your name and putting it in their credit. Once you do that and they can't pay it back, that responsibility now falls on you. So if that responsibility falls on you, now you have to take over the payments that you might not be able to afford. So once the payments, you can't afford them, now this is on your credit report or TRW and also the party that you tried to help. Okay, so that's like the number one thing that you really don't want to do as far as, you know, establishing and messing up your credit, allowing somebody else to mess it up. Okay? These I guess this was like a few tips I wanted to give everybody as far as dealing with the actual secure credit cards and actually just credit building period. So I hope this information was beneficial to you. Please like, subscribe, and share. It's your boy, JTP.